in 2017, we were brought a movie by a director named Jameson Brooks called Bomb City. It is a true story about a kid named Brian Deneke out of Amarillo, Texas. He was a local punk rocker and promoter, artist, by all accounts, a pretty peaceful, chill dude. And he was killed by a local football legend type. And my buddies and I do a podcast on my other friend's channel, and we rotate movie selections. Just we go around the group, and this was my pick. I wanted to bring this to my channel as well. I think this is an important story, one that I'm not an expert on, but it is near and dear to my heart as I live in Texas and grew up here. I just think the story needs to be told. Shout out to Cinema Studies. If you want to check him out, I'm putting a link in the description for his channel. That's one of my best friends in the whole world named Josh. Go check his channel. He does great work. So I just wanted to bring this video to you guys, let you check it out. Please enjoy the podcast we did for Bomb City.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Talking Movies. My name is Josh.
I'm Clay.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Randall.
And today we're talking about Randy's pick this week, 2017's Bomb City.
Oh, right, yeah.
Randy, give us a little rundown.
So Bomb City is a movie about a true story that happened in, I think it was 97.
Yeah.
Dude in Amarillo, Texas, I believe, named Brian Deneke, was like just a punk rock kid. Like this story was like all over the place. Like I heard this story a little later after it had happened. Like I don't want to act like I knew this guy. I know some people that knew him.
Okay.
But it's a Texas thing more or less. And it was more like as I got into age 19, 20, 21, and I'm learning about stuff that has to do with punk rock music, this like story is being told, and I'm like, what happened? And this kid was part of a local scene in Amarillo, Texas, which has got to be really tough just to even exist out there, like, and feel and look and act like somebody like me, right? And I believe they were all teenagers still, or most of them, and they had this local community punk rock scene, and there was constantly like fights happening with the local jock dudes, like the little, I don't know, the regular normie folks, right? But out there, they're like literally like cowboys and jocks and redneck types, and so those people really, really don't get along with folks that look and dress and act like I do. I kind of dealt with some of that growing up too, not to the degree that Brian Deneke was. Not until I was older, anyways. I got a lot of that kind of stuff when I was in my 20s, but not when I was in high school. I got just picked on just for being a poor kid, more or less in high school. But
big city, a little bit.
Yeah. I was in Cypress, which is basically Houston, so like it was not quite the same as Amarillo. And spoiler alert: the story is very sad. Brian Deneke gets killed in a fight one night. And it's incredibly senseless. Could have been avoided. And the I don't want to say the real tragedy, but the additional tragedy to all this is that the person that did it literally didn't get in any trouble. He had, I guess, just the right lawyer, the right people, the right time, and Brian Deneke didn't look like everybody else, and that served to really screw him. And his attacker, like, honestly, had very little, if nothing, to do with the fight, and just killed him and got off on it. I think he got probation and a fine, and then the fine was ultimately like not even a thing that was.
They dropped it.
They dropped the fine. Like, this dude killed a person, and so like I don't know a lot about like the law, right? But what I've heard repeatedly is that if you're in a situation and you have the ability to get out of the situation, and then you choose to then go and insert yourself back in the situation, that it should be you get a stiffer punishment. Example, if you're at a place and a guy comes up to you and you've got a concealed handgun license and you're carrying, and a guy gets in your face and is life-threatening, right? And you reach into your jacket, whatever, and you have your hand on your gun, but he turns around and he walks away. but you still feel threatened, so you shoot him anyways. You should have done that. You should have left. As soon as you had the opportunity to leave, you should have left. And to my understanding, that's how it is, right? Well, so the guy that killed Brian Deneke, he ran him over. He was not even like, I don't even, dude, I've watched this movie probably, I don't know, man, a bunch of times. And every time I watch it, I am in tears at the end of this movie because it makes me, I'm damn near at that point right now. It makes me so angry that somebody can do that and just get away with it. And this is like the fuel to my fires, stuff like this. I feel like I felt like Brian Deneke my whole life. And so I see something like this and I'm like, man, that's just another reason why I don't want to be associated with, like, I guess, typical behavior in people. I don't know, man. It's a regular ass movie. I would say, like, it's probably nothing special as far as, dialogue and camera work, music and shots and all that stuff, but the story is very compelling, and that's why I picked it. It's a true story. As far as I know, it's pretty accurate to what happened, and for that reason, I wanted to talk about it.
Yeah, I was just saying if the movie is at all accurate, I mean, the dude was in the car was kind of like on the out, and stuff started happening, and he turned around and went, "Oh, well, I'm just gonna do this real quick," and yeah, I mean, that's pretty much like that's premeditated or whatever technical legal word for it, like that's wrong. It's
just mind blowing that he didn't go to prison at all. Like it's absolutely shocking to me that he didn't go to jail. And I don't wish prison on a young person. I think that people do make mistakes. I don't personally feel like the guy should have necessarily gotten a life sentence. I don't really know, man. I don't know where I stand on that, but I do know that what he did get is like laughable.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the classic case of like rich, privileged, suburban kid gets like the best lawyer, the best, just public perception. So, the other kid is going to just be shit on by the, people that are wealthy and privileged. I mean, I'm sure we can debate like whether they should have been there in the first place or not all night. But I mean, I would say they're both parties are kind of equally in the wrong for fighting, but I mean, they were just fighting. It wasn't like we're gonna go kill all these people. I don't think anybody was under that. Again, at least as the movie presented it, but it really was just one dude that escalated.
That's as far as I understand it, this movie's pretty accurate. I'm sure we're gonna get comments on this. Especially if I upload it onto my channel, it's going to probably get a lot of attention of a lot of people from Texas that watch my channel. So I'm probably going to learn some things.
Yeah.
But dude, I've been in fights like this, man. Like it isn't weird. It isn't odd. It isn't abnormal to have young men getting into fist fights occasionally. It's just not that weird. It just isn't. And for anybody that says it is, you're wrong.
Yeah.
And so to then go, it's just like whenever you have a fight at a place and like maybe like a I don't know, let's say Chicago, right? And there's a fist fight and then a gun comes out. It's the same thing. Like, why'd the gun come out? Like, why couldn't you just like, especially if you were 30 yards away, why didn't you just go the other direction? Well, I gotta go out there and be tough. I've been there myself. I've had to, I've made some mistakes and wanted to show people how tough I was, and really almost got myself in some real trouble before. And it's stupid. Like the whole situation was pretty dumb, like you said. I agree with that wholeheartedly. But people get into fights, man. People get into arguments, and I don't know who started what. I don't know that Brian Deneke wasn't a shit starter. I don't know, but I do know that based on my experiences with life, I've been walking on the street and been called those exact names for nothing. Yeah. And so it's not very hard for me to believe that maybe he was just walking in a restaurant and got called a bunch of names. Maybe he was walking on the street and got a beer bottle thrown at him, because I was riding my bike home once and got a beer bottle hit me back here, and I went flying over the handlebars of my bike, and I was hauling ass, dude. I was riding down in the Heights. I don't know if anybody's from Houston. The Heights is I don't know, it's an old neighborhood, but it's inside Houston. And at nighttime, it's incredibly dark out there. And somebody saw me and they drove by. I didn't know they even turned around. I was listening to some music, and I turned around and drove by and threw an unopened tall boy beer can at me, and it hit me in the back of my head. and sent me flying over my handlebars. I've had things thrown at me while I was either walking or riding my bike 3 times in my life, and I've
my
had
dad did too. He ran a lot, and people
it's
threw
crazy.
shit at him all the time. And not to jump in here, but I mean, is it necessarily because you look like a punker, or because people are just generally assholes and they just throw shit at everybody? So,
yeah, both.
I mean,
I think the target's on your back when you look a little different, though. It makes it bigger.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah, I mean, you're a jock, so the punk kids are gonna look super weird and different to you. And I mean, to the punk kids, like the jocks are gonna look like, stupid, normal, whatever you want to call it. So it almost kind of showcases the similarities of
no, there's a parallel there. I'm not gonna act as if there's not. I feel like that's pretty dumb. Like, be like, and they did nothing wrong ever. I mean, I just doubt that. But
I mean, I think they're both equally, like, again, to go back to what the movie is presenting is, they go into a restaurant and, one of them says one thing, another one says another thing. So the entire movie is just a slow escalation of, he said that to me in the restaurant, so I'm going to throw a beer bottle at him out of the truck, or, and then he threw the beer bottle at me. So it's just going to spiral into something, and it's inevitable that it's just going to turn into a big thing eventually. So I don't think, one, to argue the fighting and all that stuff, I think one is just as equally as, but the
wasn't
murder.
It like a big ass fight though? It wasn't like a one-on-one fist fight.
No, it was very much a brawl.
60 people. It was like almost like a gang fight.
Against like 5.
It was a whole lot of redneck types against about a handful of like punk rockers. But I mean, look, dude, that's also fairly normal. I mean, how many, if you take a giant group of people, how many are going to be guys that likes to play football versus how many are going to be guys that like to be in punk bands? Like, it's just kind of a normal.
No doubt. Yeah. I mean, I saw plenty of fights growing up,
but,
and you and I are kind of old school. The guy was born in 78. That's when I was born. I noticed at the end, like it said 1997. I was like, damn, I graduated high school in 96. Like we were basically the same age. And thinking back, I think that's like what hit me about the movie hardest was like, dude, when I was 19, like I was doing little dumb shit and I was still kind of a dumbass. And it would suck if you just died on some dumb shit like this. Like, oh, this guy ran his ass over. He was running away and he's like chasing him down with a car. I mean, I would say 25 years in prison, something like that. I don't know. But it's just your point. Like you have your people protect you and the cops are always on their side. It seemed like the whole time. So yeah, man. I mean, it was a tough watch. It was like watching kids get tortured slowly. I mean, not too.
It feels very Outsiders to me.
Yeah,
it's very similar to that. Like,
it was a tough movie to watch, man.
Yeah, I agree. I'll just echo everything y'all said. It's just a really sad story. It's very simple. There's not a whole lot of gray area,
right?
At least in the way that the movie's portrayed. I don't know who these people actually are, but yeah, I mean, it's just a miscarriage of justice.
Right.
And to echo what Hugh said, it was just a real tough watch. Like it's just kind of watching a slow train wreck. You kind of know where it's going from the beginning.
Right.
It's just like,
well,
just
hard. Well, there's a reason that I bring stuff like this to the table, and it's not because it's a hard watch. It's because I love it, and it tells a story that's incredibly important to me personally, and it's the only way that I can show people who I am without having to spend years of my life with them. You know what I'm saying? I can be like, here, watch these 5 movies and you'll get a good sense of who I am. Because he was, by all accounts, Brian, I've never heard otherwise, that Brian Deneke was not a problem. He was not a troublemaker. And that's the way it always goes, right? Like the nice kid's always the one that gets screwed over. The good guy's always the one that gets the bad luck. And by all accounts, he was not really a troublemaker. He was an artist and he was a young kid. And like, if you look at, based on the movie, the relationship he had with his folks, right? That that should tell you a lot. It didn't show him going home and then like having fights with his parents and going home and like wrecking, like, okay, like the kids in Suburbia, those kids didn't have that same kind of relationship with their parents. This kid, again, by all accounts, did have a pretty good relationship with his family and his friends, and they were young, so they were dumb by default. But
yeah, it felt realistic. Like the mom was kind of supportive but worried about him. The dad's kind of grouchy about it, but he's like, okay, he's getting through his shit, whatever.
And his dad was awesome in this movie. I don't know how accurate it was to real life, but his dad, I was like, man, I wish that guy was my dad.
I could definitely see his point of view. But, you know.
Right. Well, I mean, there was also some stuff. There was some stuff in this movie that was not all dark, and I did take a couple things that I wrote down just to make sure I didn't forget them. For one, it was so weird. I just happened to have picked out a pair of shorts to start sewing on when I was watching this movie. It was completely random. I haven't seen this movie in years, dude. And I'm sewing it, and I hit play, and I'm like I'm like sitting like where I can look at like my chair, but like right above it is my TV screen. And so I'm like, I'm just like watching, I'm sewing. And this big filth patch comes across the screen, and the guy's like, destroy everything. And I was like, oh, that's I like that back patch, you know? And he's like, what does that mean? And this lawyer, he's just a big giant moron, right? Not the guy playing the lawyer. That guy's in a lot of stuff. But the lawyer.
Oh, yeah. I watched like 24 every day of my life when I was a kid. So
is that where he's from? 24?
Yeah. Dude. He's like he's the president's like
that's right,
bodyguard and all of 24. Yeah,
bro, that guy's a lot of stuff. It was just funny because I was sewing a filth patch on my shorts when that came on the screen. So this movie showcased Filth, and now I don't know why. I assume that that must have been like his favorite band in real life or something.
But I was going to ask you if there was some significance to their story that was related or something. I don't know.
They were showcased like. Dude, there was like 4 different dudes that had shirts or patches on from that band. And Chris, you specifically, if you haven't listened to Filth, should. I think you'd like it. It's that Berkeley sound, that Gilman Street type of punk rock. It's especially that Blatz shit split that they were talking about. That's a real thing. It's a real double disc CD.
Yeah, you've brought them up before. I'm pretty sure I've listened to them. I couldn't like pick it out of a lineup or anything like that, but I'm pretty sure I've heard them.
It's very, very good music.
Yeah,
Josh is like, no, it's not.
Yeah, they reference them a couple of times. Like him and the girl have a little conversation about it. So I assume it has some kind of significance.
Well, they also had 2 more bands that I saw that were showcased fairly like blatantly. Was the Subhumans were on a couple of things. But this band called Bread and Water, like when I saw that, it blew my mind. Like this is like deep cut punk rock shit that if you don't know what this stuff is, you're gonna just assume it's made up for the show. And none of it was. Filth was real. Subhumans is obviously real. Bread and Water's a real band. Like it was really cool to see that stuff. And then I thought it was really strange that Robbie Lawler was in this movie.
Yeah, I saw his name pop up, but I didn't catch him in the movie.
He's one of the cops when they go to the house to like bang on the door. He's the one that's like over on the side. He goes, "Hey, you see this?" He has a talking line in the movie.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It's very obviously Robbie Lawler is very bold and very
okay.
I didn't notice.
Yeah, I saw the name in the first credit in the beginning of the movie, but I forgot about it by the end, so I really wasn't looking out for him anymore.
A lot of times in movies like this, when they have a guy that used to skateboard, like just in real life, and they're portraying a real life person. They get somebody that can like really skate like really, really well. And I always find that odd because typically people don't skate that well. And I really appreciated the fact that this dude that played him could obviously skateboard fairly well, but obviously wasn't a pro. I don't know. It just was one thing that I thought, I don't know if that was on purpose, but I like that because he can do a lot of stuff, but he can also not do things that are unrealistic for just some normal guy.
Yeah, he wasn't like a pro or anything, but I mean, he knew what he was doing a little bit at least.
Right.
At least enough to make it believable in the movie.
I put down here when his brother and him are messing with those signs, and he says that he needs to book bigger bands because he can feel the scene picking up. And his brother says, "You just got to make them, or you got to get them to make the stop." And then he kind of looks at him and smiles. That's like a real thing down here in Texas that is talked about a lot in the punk rock scene because at least back then, it's not quite as bad now. It's still tough because bands will come as an example, I'm literally going to go to Pittsburgh to see a band because they're not coming down south at all. Like, they're not going to go to Florida. They're not going to Louisiana, Texas. They're just doing some East Coast dates, right? And they're from France. So, like, that's an even harder thing to make happen. But a lot of bands don't make it down to Texas. And back in the 90s, that was a big problem. We had our own scene because of that, which is there's a pro and con to all that. But I thought that was a good talking point in the movie to bring that up and make it. The movie felt very, very authentic to me.
Yeah. A lot of the things that happened or the things that they said just reminded me of you. Just felt like that you've said or stories you've told me, like when they were throwing the beer bottles at him and stuff. I was like, I remember that story that you told earlier.
Happened to me a few times. Man, shit's scary.
I was thinking about you with the whole weekend incident where somebody tried to get in your face.
Bro, I couldn't believe that happened, dude.
I'm like, why would that happen? Why would somebody do something like that? I'm like, maybe they
just because I'm me, man. I'm a magnet for this shit, dude. I wasn't even look, dude. For anybody that's wondering what happened, I'll make it very quick. I was walking down a 4-flight of stairs from a parking garage, and I had a bag full of stuff, and I had to work a very long shift, so I had a bunch of food in the bag. And I was on the phone texting my mom. She's been not feeling well lately, so I was just checking in with her before I went to work. So I had headphones in, bag in my hand, phone in the other hand. I wasn't looking at all.
Walking down the stairwell.
Yeah, I get down to where the door's open, and it's open like wide. And so I just walk through it, and I kind of look over and say thanks to some guy that I see. But I didn't really like stop and go, hey, man, thanks, and give him like a bro hug. I just kind of went, hey, thanks, and then kept it walking.
Yeah, just give the nod.
Yeah, I said thank you like out loud, and he goes, and I kind of looked over my shoulder, and he's staring at me, and I was like, what? And he goes, say fucking thank you next time, or say thank you next time, motherfucker, something like fuck was in there somewhere. And I was like, wow. And I started kind of laughing, and he's like, what, it's funny? And I was like, I mean, huh? And then he like starts walking, dude, he like starts walking towards me. I'm in my work uniform. And he starts walking towards me, and I'm like, oh my God, is this dude coming to the theater right now? Like, is this really happening? And ultimately he's standing like this close to my face, like almost touching my nose. I had to put my shit down because I thought we were fixing to get into a fight. I was like, what is happening right now? Am I going to jail today? I was like, are you serious? I was like, man, all this shit started flying through my head. Like, damn, I'm going to jail. I'm about to lose my job. What am I going to do with this? I was like, I got to call Carissa. Like, I was like already pretty confident I was heading to jail. And his like, I guess wife or whatever gets in between us. And she's like yelling at him. Like, not me. I mean, I said like 2 words. Yeah. I was very much trying to not say anything because if it popped off, I wanted to be like, yeah, I didn't say anything. I didn't say nothing. And, it rattled me pretty bad because I don't really get into situations like that very often. So, and I'm 42, right? Man. Like I'm old. I don't want to be doing that shit. Man. Like,
I'd say you get into them more often than the 3 of us.
Yeah, the 3 of us. That's true. But I also used to get into this shit like all the time. So like,
no, for sure.
But like, I really do feel like I'm kind of a magnet for this kind of activity. But ultimately, right. I had him removed from the property, so it's whatever.
Well, that was my point. Like, I think just the way that you look, some people just immediately are rubbed the wrong way by you, and that relates.
Just
back
like
to
Deneke or whoever, it's like.
Dude, I mean, typically people are asking me questions about my tattoos or going, "Hey, I like your patch" or whatever, right? There's always that dude that wants to be a jerk, or that guy's kind of drunk, and he was like fine when he was sober. He has 5 beers in an hour and a half, and he's kind of like,
yeah,
fucking dude looks stupid.
He picked on a kid like you in high school and just had flashbacks, so he's just gonna pick on you.
He's like, man, I forgot how small my dick is. I need to go pick on this guy.
I really like to, kind of rose-colored glasses and think like people were less accepting back then than they are maybe now towards. But I mean, obviously,
I think they are. I think they were less back then. I think they're a little bit better now, but it still happens. But I think it's to a less degree. I'm also going to agree with you on that. I think just based on my personal experiences, it does happen a lot less. And I mean, I'm also a lot less like loud, and I used to wear like much more crazy clothes, and I did have color in my hair most of the time. But I've always had tattoos. I got my neck tattooed at age 19, so I've always had this stuff going on. So.
Man, you got that done at 19, bro.
Yeah, I got my hands tattooed at 20.
That was pretty aggressive for
back then. It was very aggressive.
Yeah,
my mom was like, she's like, "Why did you get your neck tattooed?" And I didn't even miss a beat, man. I was like, "I don't ever want to wear a suit to work." And she's like, "You won't." And I was like, "No, I won't."
I don't think I knew a single. Well, maybe I knew about 4 people with neck tattoos. Legit,
bro. I didn't know anybody. I was the first idiot to do it in my whole group of people.
Wow.
And I mean, I don't regret nothing about my neck tattoo. I love my neck tattoos, but
no, that's you.
But like, it was tough though. It was
like
tough.
Back in the day, 20s. Having any kind of tattoo was like, oh shit. Like I remember I got one little tattoo, and everybody's like, whoa. Hey, tattoo. I was like, God, okay.
Dude, the part of the movie where he's walking on the street and that they throw the beer bottle at him. The thing I had that happened to me that was the closest to that, it wasn't a beer bottle. I was walking down the street after work one night, and I worked overnight at a grocery store. And one night I got off at like 4 a.m. and the bus didn't run for a couple hours, so I just started walking towards my house. It was a long distance, so I wasn't gonna get home. I just thought, why sit here? And in hindsight, I should have sat there because I would have been in a parking lot that was lit up with other people around. And I was walking down Westheimer at like 4 a.m. and there was literally nobody on the road. And I got to about where Shepherd is at, and a truck full of dudes drove past me going one way. And I saw the tail lights light up a window, and I immediately knew that something was fixing to happen because there was no reason for them to stop. There wasn't a stoplight or anything. And I was like, if that light turns around, I need to start running. And I didn't run. I just kept walking for some reason. And they pulled up next to me, and then they yelled at me for a minute, and I just kind of ignored them. And they were like leaning out the window very close to me, yelling at me. And I was like, man, they were very drunk. And they ultimately pull up in front of me like 20 yards, stop the truck, and get out. And one dude gets out and runs up at me. And I tightened my backpack straps because I couldn't have him take all that because it was all my work stuff. And ultimately, I stepped on a parking curb that was covered in water and paint, and they're painted. And I slipped, rolled my ankle, and fell down. Got the shit beat out of me for a minute. But some dude in like a semi was like it was like a semi with no cab on the back was coming down the street and saw it and stopped and got them to stop beating on me for a minute. And I got up and I was all covered in blood. And he's like, "Hey, are you okay?" And I'm like, I'm screaming and cussing, and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." I was like, "You got a gun?" He's like, "Yeah, why?" I was like, "Can I use it?" He's like, "Fuck no." And he's like, "Can I give you a ride somewhere?" And I just started crying, bro. I was like, "No, I don't need a fucking ride. I need people to leave me alone." I just started walking. I got on the bus, never wiped my face off. I got on the bus. I was just like literally like completely. I looked like a horror movie. And I got home, and then I got yelled at for being late by my wonderful, wonderful girlfriend at the time. Shout out Heather for being a cunty bitch. I hate you. I hope you're dead. But
yeah, being beat on kind of affects your pride, like as a man, a little bit.
Oh, dude, it's horrible.
When you get a beat down, you're just like, yeah, it's like kind of it shocks you deep inside.
It's an eye-opening experience, though, but I tell you what, for anybody who's wondering, man, if you ever get in a situation where you need to protect yourself, just do it, man. Don't overreact. I'm saying, like, if you actually have to protect yourself, getting punched in the face doesn't hurt that bad. It's not that bad, man. Like, don't let somebody beat the shit out of you. Like, that's my point. It's like, I know so many people that are so scared of fighting with people that they'll like curl up, and like that is dangerous. Like, show somebody you're not a coward, they'll typically leave you alone, or it'll be a fair fight, one or the other. But man, I don't know. The movie's it's a sad movie, but I love it, man. It's an important movie to my life.
Yeah. It's not a fun watch for sure. I don't know if I'll ever watch it again.
I mean, was Sid and Nancy a fun watch? No. So, like all these types of movies are pretty dark.
Yeah. I think back on like Irreversible.
That was my only point.
Like,
yeah, right. Oh, dude,
Irreversible is not a fun watch. But I mean, this at least like being a true story helped.
Right.
That it's just something to latch on to, just knowing it's like real and had happened.
Right. Right.
I mean,
and I was like, it's a pretty low budget movie, I would imagine, but it's pretty well done, I would think, for its budget.
I was gonna say, Randy said not to bring up the technical aspects, but
no, I just meant like don't watch it like solely focusing on
for an indie movie. I thought it looked exceptionally well and was well edited. I thought like it kept a good pace. Like
that makes me happy.
Yeah, I thought it was well made especially for what it was.
My thought was like, in the event that it's made very bad, please just let that not be a part of the conversation. Like,
no, but all the shots are really pretty. Like
There was some pretty stuff, like pretty scenescapes and
nice
stuff.
Lighting, even in their house, it like supposed to look all gross. It has nice lights in the back. I'm always like, yeah, it looks pretty good in there. It's kind of cool.
Well backlit.
Stuff,
you know,
dude. There are a couple more things I want to bring up. I know we'll move along from this movie here in a minute. The house that they're all hanging out in, that's also like a really common thing. I'm sure people know that by now, but like I've lived in a couple of those. Those are like the best times I've ever had. With houses like that, where it's just everybody kind of lives there. It's kind of in and out. You don't really lock anything because there's nothing really there to take. It's just a refrigerator, maybe a little old box TV and a PlayStation 1 or something, and warm beer and cigarette packs that maybe you can find a little herb in or something. Like, just, yeah, man, the punk houses are always so much fun. I hated when they got that place destroyed, but that kid King, he was the one that I thought was probably the troublemaker throughout the whole movie. But he also might have been like, he also looked kind of like a small dude. If it's accurate to real life, he might have just been the one that got the worst of it at the young age and just had enough, because that's what it felt like. I also thought it was funny when what's up?
Go ahead.
Well, when they were tagging and he's bitching about them giving him a hard time about buying spray paint, I'm like, yeah, because you're all spray painting on crap. And I mean, like, by all means, go spray paint on stuff, but don't complain when they give you a hard time about spray paint. When they know what you're doing with it, just go steal the spray paint and paint on stuff. Like, just stop. Like, why you got to complain about it?
As long as you know you're being a shithead, then you be a shithead.
Just be a shithead. When he gets beat up though, when Brian Deneke gets beat up and his girlfriend's cleaning him up, man,
she puts a piece of duct tape all weakly on his hair.
It's just like hanging on his hair, just doing absolutely nothing.
She's so sweet, but she was so naive to the people around her. She's just like, I know so many people like that. I knew so many people that were like, I won't even say a toe in the punk scene, like a good leg in the punk scene, but they weren't like, they lived in the suburbs and I'm not even trashing them, but they just didn't have like a realistic idea what the city was like or what it was like to be the kid that was at every show because you were the one putting them on. Like, that's a different kind of person, and you have different obstacles in life. And I thought she was sweet, but I thought she was very naive. And I know so many people like that, man. It was.
Well, I mean, apologies if I'm making assumptions, but I saw Carissa in her. That
oh no, 100%.
She has her foot in the scene, but you know, she's just a little oblivious to just, you know, how everybody else really acts. And
I was going to let you say it. I'm not saying that shit. I'm not trying to get punched in the head tonight. But no, that's very accurate. My wife's a sweetheart, but she's very much got. Yeah, she supports me and like to the nth degree. Like, I don't know many people that would be allowed to just fly to Pittsburgh on a whim to go see a punk band. So anything that my wife ever does that irritates me is kind of whatever at this point, right? Like, so I'm just saying, like, she's got her foot in the scene that way. Like, she supports me. She comes to shows when she can, but she doesn't really. When I met her, bro, it was Romeo and Juliet, bro. We were different people from different worlds. We should never have been hanging out to begin with, but we worked at the same place. That's how we met. So. Yeah, you get put in situations where you meet people from different parts of the world. Different walks of life, rather.
So just like a little similar to me, I guess, that, you know, I appreciate some punk music and the punk,
right?
But I don't necessarily, you know, practice that, and you know, really, I guess, live my life like
you. You wouldn't want to go live in that house, Chris?
No.
That shit look, dude. I literally
miserable to me.
Dude, I was smiling from ear to ear and just remembering, like, because look, there were nights where I literally was like, dude, why am I doing this? Like, what am I doing? Like, I'm sleeping on the floor with like 5 different people, a fucking boot on my head, like, and I can't, but my neck's like this.
Yeah.
But then I look up and it's like bands that I like. That's why I'm sleeping uncomfortable, because some dude from a band from Chicago is in my house, and it's like, this is badass, man. If you don't do this when you're young, you sure as shit ain't gonna do it when you're my age now.
Yeah.
So I just had a lot of fond memories of those places, man. I remember I slept in a garage for a long time. I just had like a little futon bed up by where you should put the washer and dryer in a garage. And I had like a little folding closet thing. And I mean, I had like 5 fans because it didn't have no air conditioning, man. Like,
in the garage.
Yeah, and it was just like, you know, if I passed out for a few hours, I was pretty fortunate. I get a little sleep, because otherwise it was so hot I couldn't sleep in there. But I mean, you know, I appreciate the way I grew up. I like it a lot. It's not for everybody. Like it's but it made me me, which is, I don't know if that's good or bad, but I like me. So,
but
whatever.
Yeah, but that's why I said it reminded me of Carissa too, because she doesn't really have the attitude and the philosophies and everything you have.
No, she's the artist part of it.
Yeah.
Taking care of her dude.
One thing I wanted to point out, I don't know if I'm going to gripe about it or not, but let me the way they talked, just using dog and bro, and were people talking like that in 97? I was a little
I wasn't going to bring it up because it drives me nuts, but yes, that's exactly how people talked in 1997.
Okay, I was thinking that was more of an early 2000s kind of talk.
That was from from high school, like maybe 8th grade, all the way till I don't know, had a kid maybe.
Okay.
Like that's just how people talk, because especially down in Texas, where like rap is a big part of our culture, even in punk rock, especially like in Houston, because it's all DIY hip hop. So that stuff is just kind of everywhere down here, right? And so it's kind of a tough guy act, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, especially the younger people, I've always talked like that. It irked me, but I am certain that I did it and all my friends did it. I haven't talked that in years and years. I don't really recall like specific slang words I used, but I'm sure we talked like that. It didn't seem foreign to me at all. I was like, oh yeah, that's really gross. I wish we hadn't have done that, but oh well.
Yeah, it didn't seem foreign to me at all. Just the timeline of it.
No, that was pretty accurate, man. Like that, dog. Like that was very.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I think it was more like in my circle, it was more broad dude, but like I heard a lot of dog. What's up, dog? I still hear that shit.
Yeah, I mean, I went to public school in South Louisiana, so I heard it a lot. But I mean, again, I was a little older, so I guess it didn't get to me until I was, in high school in the early 2000s.
It's like a facade thing, and there's always like, if you noticed, it was like two dudes that talk like that in this. There's always those couple of guys that talk more like that. It's weird, man. Punk and hip hop are very much cousins, and so a lot of people that I know that like punk rock also love a lot of hip hop music. So I'm not surprised that people talk like that. Plus, it's just kind of an urban way of speaking, and those kids are all city kids, even though they're in what was it again?
Amarillo.
Amarillo by morning.
I've always tried.
Thanks, Dad.
I've always tried to like one day plan on going to Amarillo to see the Dynamite museums, like little signs and stuff. But man, it's like 10 freaking hours.
Yeah, it's a long way from here.
Like,
man.
Every time I'm like, I'm gonna go to. I always think like Amarillo, or I'm always like Arlington. For some reason, I get the two mixed up. I'm like, Arlington, I've been wanting to go there forever. And then I'm like, oh, wait, that's the wrong city. No, that's outside of Dallas.
Yeah. Yeah, there's like, Amarillo is not even like on the way to anything, really.
No,
like on the way to Oklahoma.
On the way to hell.
Yeah,
that place is yeah. Dude, I hope that
through hell.
Man, I hope that his friends and family have some kind of like peace in their life, man. I hope his mom and dad were okay after a while, and I hope the kid that did that. Look, man, I am a firm believer in forgiveness. As much as I don't want to say it, I have to, because that's just how I live, man. I don't like to hold grudges, and I think it's a waste of time.
He got 10 years probation and then violated it and spent 8 years in prison. No, 6 years in prison. So I think like maybe he felt guilty.
He was a fucking idiot.
And then maybe sort of.
I don't believe he felt an ounce of guilt.
I don't really think so either, based on what I saw in the movie. But you can sort of just like I don't know.
Well, you want to destiny somehow. Well, you want to think the best of people, man. Like, who wants to think that kid didn't care that he hurt that kid and his family? I don't want to think that, but it might be true. I know a lot of little rich kids that's how they behave.
It has to, unless he's like a total psychopath. It had to have affected him somehow.
Maybe in adulthood.
Maybe he's a psychopath, though. I don't know.
Even in the movie, there's a point where he's completely rattled and like really regretting his actions.
Like he stops in the street and screams at the steering wheel or whatever.
Yeah.
See, some of that, I don't know, like how embellished it was in terms of like this is the fictional aspect of the movie, or this is 100% accurate. Like when the cops came into their house and stuff, and they were spray painting and ran home, and the one guy's like, "Why'd you come here?" And they're all like having this big fight inside their house among themselves. I mean, I'm like, was that
in Houston, Texas? That has happened.
I'm talking about the arguments.
And the guy's sticking the gun in the girl's mouth and stuff.
Yeah.
No, that I don't know about, but I was handcuffed to a chain link fence by HPD and beat up in front of a girlfriend once. That's pretty close, you know.
I'm assuming
none of that shit would surprise me at all. I'd be more surprised if that was fake than if some of the other stuff was.
Yeah, I mean, what did we watch not too long ago that like the guy had taken a bunch of just stories he heard, or no, it was Suburbia. It was like she took a bunch of stories that she had heard and put them in the movie. So I'm assuming something similar with this, like
the house thing,
the gun in the girl's mouth and all that stuff. I'm assuming that it's like maybe a story that was getting passed around.
It depends on what they, because you saw they had the electricity hooked up all like illegal. Like we didn't have that happening. We had legit electricity where I was at, but it was just a rundown flop house, right? So it just depends on. But I mean, I could definitely see if you had a house set up like that where they didn't know you weren't really supposed to be there, and you had illegal electricity. Then if you rent in that house, I'd be mad as hell too. Yo, what are you doing here, man? Because I also lived in a different kind of house where you definitely didn't want the police showing up there, so we weren't running into that house. If you ran into that house, you might get, you know.
And that's what I'm saying. Like at some point, I'm gonna say, just like the one dude did. Kind of like take your ass outside and handle the cops. Like this is on you.
That's actually what I was thinking they were going to do. I forgot. I hadn't watched it in so long. We would have probably tossed somebody out the front door. Like, no, this is on you, buddy. I'm sorry, man. You can't be coming over here ruining everybody else's time.
Tagging, that's
right.
Especially for tagging. You're going to go to jail for the night. Maybe you might just get a ticket. Like, just go outside and talk to them.
Yeah, it seemed to me that whole scene seemed very like dramatic and intense for something that was like not that serious.
I feel like that was probably a blown up scene. Personally, is what I thought.
I know it was a way to like introduce the cops and then
and that to that end, like I wish the movie was a little more agnostic, and it's like these are the good guys, these are the bad guys. Like I don't know. I felt like it was very clear what they were going to say, like these people operate this way, these people operate that way, these are the people you're rooting for, these are the people you're
I can't remember why the movie was made or if it had something to do with like a Brian Deneke foundation, but I think it was like that was never going to happen. I think there's probably a documentary floating around out there somewhere, but which I would like to watch if there is. So if anybody's got like a link to it, throw it to me, please. But I'm not even arguing against your point. I agree with that. I think the movie was made like kind of more like in his honor, which if that's the case, it's never going to be.
Respect that.
It makes sense. It definitely felt a little heavy-handed in a lot of parts. You know, it's like leaning very like. You know, the whole scene with him and the girlfriend out in the field and all that stuff. It's just setting you up. And then they literally go buy a puppy like right before, and like it's just all these like uplifting things to just like crush you.
And I think that was kind of showing what kind of person he really was, though, because like I said, as far as I understand, he was more of like a nah, bro. Like I'm here to make art, make music, and create a scene. And there's always those shitheads that are like, I'm here to create a scene and fist fight. You know, like. Those guys exist. I know a lot of them.
He was much more of the aggressive type, and he was so the peace and love, just like do your thing kind of guy.
His buddy, the King kid, he was the only guy I didn't like, and I would like to find out if he was real because he was annoying. He even came out at the very beginning, was giving that dude shit for being a skinhead, talking about skinheads racist, and I was like, bro, if you're in the punk rock scene, you know better than that. Stop. So I would like to know more about that guy.
I was kind of glad that they used that as a narrative tool to sort of say like, look, we're not the racist skinheads, right? We're not those guys.
Yeah, so well, because they even say it. It didn't start from that at all. It came from a different thing. Skinheads.
But I think that was like for the audience's understanding.
Yeah,
right?
I like that. I do appreciate that. You know what? That might have been a completely fabricated line, actually. Now that you mentioned that, because that might have been for the audience to understand that this guy was not some kind of troublemaking bonehead type. He was just a blue collar boy, skinhead, traditional sharp. But and I'm not an expert on skinhead stuff. I like a lot of the music, but I'm not an expert on that at all. I'm learning the stuff even at 42 years old. So I don't know. I love the movie. I would probably still give it even though I love it a lot, I still probably go 4 instead of 5. I'm not gonna be some crazy asshole and be like, that's 5-star. There's problems with it. It's not perfect, but I'm gonna go 4 based on like personal. Just I love the movie. It's hard to watch sometimes, but it still just represents me, my friends, and in my state, dude. I live in Texas, man. Like we all live here, right? This movie represents me in a way that not many movies do because it is based out of a place that's very close to here. And
this is your Southern comfort.
It really is kind of like, yeah, right. No, for real. I didn't even think about that. Yeah. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know it was a tough watch at the end, but good story to kind of learn,
I won't say I
watch stuff like this.
It was good.
Yeah, I don't think we all enjoyed it, but I can at least say I appreciate it. I'm glad I watched it.
Yep.
Anybody else watch anything else this week?
I made it.
Go ahead.
I made it halfway through Black Coat's Daughter. I need to finish it. The Osgood Perkins's first movie.
Yeah.
Have you?
I don't like it.
Have you seen it? Well,
yeah.
I mean, have you watched it since Long Legs? Because it's
No.
pretty long legsy. Not as good, but
is Nick Cage in it?
No.
Then I don't give a shit. I remember not liking it much, but maybe I will give it a rewatch.
It's pretty slow, but it does have a lot of.
That's what I didn't like about it, if I remember correctly. But like you said, it maybe I give it a rewatch based on Long Legs and it's on a little bit.
It's pretty slow. I wouldn't think you would like it nearly as much as Long Legs, but
I'm obsessed with that movie.
Yeah, I still need to finish it, so it's okay so far.
I watched Sharp Objects as a show with Amy Adams on HBO.
Mm-hmm.
Man, it was like super depressing, but also very crazy. Like just I don't even want to say sort of what it's about, but she's an investigative journalist. She goes to her hometown. There's like a string of serial slayings, and so she's trying to figure out kind of a journalistic angle around it. There's a lot of mental health issues and stuff. I mean, I was just like, dude, this show is sad and depressing.
Yeah.
I get very empathetic when I watch movies. This like Bomb City affected me to where I was just like, God, I know what happens. And it was just, it was hard for me because I empathize a lot with what's going on screen. And this show is the same way where I was just like, oh, I feel depressed. Like these people are so depressed. And so, I sort of, I don't know, assume that same, but it's a good ass show, man. It's crazy.
Who's in it?
Amy Adams, the chick. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I know her. Was she in that one with the aliens talked? And is that the same girl?
Arrival, yeah.
Okay, yeah, she's cool. One. She looks like a hot witch.
Yeah,
she's good. I think she's a great actress. She's kind of been MIA for the last few years.
Yeah,
I don't know if she had a kid or something. She took some time off. Well, I don't know.
Okay, cool.
But she's really good. I never watched that show, but
holy shit!
And it was written by the author that did Gone Girl.
Nice. Jillian Flynn?
Yeah.
Bro, but you didn't think I was going to know that, did you?
Yeah, I couldn't pull that off the top of my head. I've read that book.
Yeah, I read it like 5 times. I love that book.
What? Good book, huh?
Yeah, very good book. Dude, I know random shit all the time. I've been on a watch movies with my kiddo kick, man. We watched Black Christmas 1974. Black Christmas, I think it was like 2006 maybe or 6. I don't remember. Whatever the decent remake.
I think it was mid 2000s, wasn't it?
I think it was 2006 actually.
Yeah,
the 2019 one was just a hot pile of dog shit. But then we also watched It's Me, Billy, the fan film that was made like 2020, I think. It's like a direct sequel to Black Christmas 1974, and Bricken and I both like that more than all 3 of them. And there's a sequel to that coming at the end of this year, the day that Terrifier 3 gets released. So me and Bricken are going to do a Black Christmas comparison video, a little short, like 15-20 minute talk about it. But he wants to be involved with the channel, so I'm having a freaking blast right now doing this with him. And then we watched Poltergeist today, and
he did.
Yeah, he watched all of it. I watched part of it. I saw a bunch of it through my eyelids.
I remember showing my son that, probably too young, and it freaked him out so
Poltergeist?
bad.
Yeah, Parker was not a fan.
I was thinking like that. This is a pretty like family-friendly horror movie, right? When I put it on, I was like, "Oh no, maybe this is a little scary for like a 10-year-old."
I mean, I think it's okay for kids.
Me for life.
It scarred me too. That clown really messed me up. But
there's that one scene where he goes, I think it's the dad. He goes into the bathroom and like his face is like eaten up, or like it looks like it's all like
he's like
falling
pulling
apart.
it off, and then it goes
back
to him, and it's like not.
It's
like
the cameraman guy, I think.
That's who it was.
Oh yeah, okay, that's right.
It's part of the film
I
crew.
thought when I was like the like very strong father mother kind of stuff that goes on in that movie, right? Where the mom's always trying to get the kids back, and she has to like go into like the womb, if you will, of this ghost. Mm-hmm. It's a freaky movie to that regard.
Great.
And like, so when the mom's running down the hall and the howl keeps getting longer and longer and farther away, dude, it's just, when I was a kid, I was like, oh, my mom can't even get to me. I mean, it freaked me out.
Bro,
that movie really scared me.
That mom was like, nice, man.
Oh, yeah. She was
wearing like super short shorts. I was like, what? There was like smoking weed in the bedroom. I was like, oh, man, parents, like, these are cool parents. Craig T. Nelson rules.
Well, awesome. You can tell they were like, it's 80s. So like, these are like used to be hippies, but now they're just like regular, like suburban.
Regular ass.
Yeah. She was a pretty lady, man. I liked that movie just in general, but I was like, I didn't remember that she was like good looking. We're watching it, and I was like,
oh, dude!
I kept looking over at Bricken, and he's just like watching it, and I'm like, okay, you're not at that age yet, dude.
It didn't bug him much.
Nah.
Oh no, he's seen way too much stuff. He's seen Terrifier.
I thought about that. Like, I watched it recently. I watched Poltergeist recently. I was like, bah! Like it was just whatever.
I love it.
I do too, but I can't believe I was ever like very horrified by it.
Well, I told Bricken it was the same director as Texas Chainsaw, and he was like, "Oh, I need to watch that." And I was like, "That one might give you the heebie-jeebies, buddy."
Yeah.
But I mean, like, some dude made a comment today. He was like, "Hey, man, your kid's too young to be watching Terrifier. Great parenting." And I was like, I mean, I blocked him. I didn't even respond. But like, how the fuck do you know what my kid's willing to watch or should watch? Like, isn't it case by case? Like, I don't know, man. Like, Charlie probably won't ever watch shit like that. I don't care how old she is. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know, man. I find it so funny when people don't even know me. And I'm like, dude, I owned a horror movie store. He was around that stuff from age like 5. Like, I don't know, man. People are weird.
But, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't show my son that, but
I mean,
teach your own.
I mean, I would rather him watch that than Deadpool, personally.
I think I watched Clockwork Orange when I was like 11 or some shit with my dad.
It's just a movie. Like, where's the line drawn at? Is it you won't let him watch that, but you let him watch, not you specifically, like collective you let him watch Halloween? Like, okay, it's the same fucking movie, man. It's the same shit. A bunch of senseless violence. Like, I don't know. I just don't really. I think if your kid is, I don't know. I just don't think it's that big a deal, I guess. But.
I mean, Terrifier is pretty gruesome. They hang a naked woman upside down and cut her in half. I mean, it's pretty extreme.
Sure. I agree. It's extreme. I just don't.
It's
probably
far
one
end.
of the most extreme movies.
It's a
like
fake movie. I don't know. If it was like real life shit, I guess I'd be a little more like, holy fuck. But it's
I mean, I'm just saying, like, your comparison was Halloween, and like Halloween.
Well, I was thinking I wasn't
gore in it at all.
I wasn't thinking of the original Halloween. I was thinking like recent movies that came out, like Terrifier 2 came out when Halloween Ends came out. Is my point.
It could be like Human Centipede next for a double feature.
I mean, that's what he was asking to watch. I was like, all right, go grab the Blu-ray.
I mean, I think at a certain point, like the ridiculousness of it can kind of overshadow any.
I mean, that's how I look at it. But, I'm not
going
to judge somebody for not letting their kid watch it either. There was a fucking assload of 6-year-olds watching Deadpool Wolverine this weekend. That blew my mind. So, whatever. Like, let your kid watch which one. Let your kid watch. I mean,
whatever.
It's just an odd thing to be like super triggered by it and call somebody a bad parent when it's like, man, I don't know. I'm pretty attentive and around my kids a lot. Like, I don't know.
They don't need to be judging you for someone they don't know.
But
Sorry,
you know, Terrifier 3, October 10th. He's gonna go with me to see that probably. I'm a fucking terrible
That was
parent.
me. Sorry, Randy. I'm the one
That was
who wrote
you?
the
But did anybody see Deadpool Wolverine? Does anybody care to see it?
I will see it eventually. Just I haven't seen it yet. I mean, it's been all the good stuff has been spoiled. I think to me by now.
I would imagine.
Not even seeking it out. It's all over the place. So.
Chris, I thought you watched a bunch of Marvel here. Like you watched all the Deadpools and all the you caught up on all that, didn't you?
Yeah, I rewatched both of the Deadpools and Logan as well.
Man, Logan's a bad movie, man.
Yeah, Logan's so good.
Dude, Deadpool 3 is fun. It's a cool movie, man. Like it has got a lot of flaws, but I didn't watch it for any of that kind of stuff. I watched it sheerly to see the spectacle of things that, like, I got some of the same feelings from that movie that I got from the last Spider-Man movie, and that's all I want out of a movie like this. So, as far as I'm concerned, they did a good job. But in my review, I said, not often do you hear me say that I want a movie to be longer. This is one of those times. I could have had another 30 minutes of this and been pretty happy.
It's over 2 hours, right?
I think so. My point was that the stuff that was going on that I liked about it, they were all real short scenes, and I just wanted more of those that would have made the movie quite a bit longer. But, I think it was like 2 hours and 4 minutes or something like that.
It was basically just like cameo after cameo after cameo, right?
Oh, dude, there's so much cool shit in this movie, bro. There's so much cool stuff, and there's so much funny stuff in this movie. Like, we'll talk about it at a later date. But
she's always been very pretty to me. Let's see here.
Wait, what girl?
His girlfriend.
I don't think she's in the new one.
No,
the girl that was in the first movie.
Miranda.
Yeah, no, she's not. No.
From what else has she been in? That
Firefly.
Yeah, Firefly. I remember her from that show Homeland.
She was young in Firefly. She is such a babe.
Yeah,
she was babe. Yeah.
Man, I must like ugly ass women, dude. I don't find her that attractive. Like, I'm just not that attracted to her. She's objectively pretty. She's very pretty. I don't look at her and go, yeah. She was cool. She was pretty. But
did any of y'all watch Homeland? The CIA? No, it was kind of like 24, except it was on Showtime, basically. But she was in that, and
was she?
And she was naked a lot, so that was cool.
Oh, that might change my opinion a little bit.
Homeland, let me put that on the list.
Yeah, it was a good show. Yeah,
I mean, she's definitely attractive. She's got that hot chick look, and that's never really been what I've liked. I've always liked the more like girl next door look, more plain. She's definitely good looking though. I mean, it'd be weird if I was like, she's ugly. Like, no, not really. That's weird, buddy. Maybe you like men.
Somebody for everybody.
Yeah, there's so much cool shit in that movie. There was one thing that happened. I'm not going to go into detail what it was, but one thing that happened. I was working the movie, so I thought I was going to know everything. Man, one thing completely caught me off guard, and people clapped and screamed, and I yelled, "Oh shit!" really loud. It was awesome, dude. Like, I don't get those kind of feelings that much, man. And we all, at least Josh and Chris, come from like comic book world, so I feel like you guys should watch it solely for just the oh shit moments. It's not a good movie, I don't think. I don't watch movies like that, anyways. But like, yeah, it was so much fun, man.
Yeah, as long as it's better than 2, I'll be. So that was me touching the mic.
Oh no, it's considerably better than 2.
That's good.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
that's a low bar.
I'll watch it eventually. I listened to a thing about it that kind of spoiled a bunch of the stuff because I knew it was going to come out anyway before I saw it. And I'm just like, I don't know. It's not.
Yeah, I don't know that you're going to care much because those aren't even characters that you like a lot.
No. I mean, I love Wolverine. I love Hugh Jackman. But in a Deadpool movie, it doesn't really appeal to me that much. So I'll watch it when it comes home.
The dog was awesome. The fucking dog is
the ugliest dog in the UK or something. The ugliest dog in the world.
Dude, that's so fucked up, but so accurate. That dog's tongue is like a good 8 inches out of its mouth, just sitting still. It's crazy. All right, gentlemen.
What are we watching next week?
So I got options, I guess.
Let's go.
Oh, come on.
I don't want to throw this out if you guys haven't heard of it, but it's a recent Japanese horror movie.
I'm listening.
I'm pulling up the name because I'm gonna butcher it if I don't.
Pulse.
Let's go.
Exhuma. EXHUMA. It's
I'm looking it up.
From this year.
Never even heard of this one.
We could go with my backup option then.
Bro, I'm down for whatever.
I've been hearing a bit about this, so I've been kind of curious. It's on Shudder.
Exhuma is on Shudder?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm down to watch that.
It's got a lot of good reviews.
What was your backup plan, Chris?
Body Double.
Oh, okay. I mean, I'll watch them both. I don't care. I would rather watch Exhuma personally, but I don't really give a shit. They're both probably pretty good. I know Body Double's a good movie.
As I'll say, if you guys have heard of it, I was going to lean towards Exhuma, but we could just do Body Double.
Whichever you
I'll watch them both.
You pick.
All right, let's do Exhuma.
Let's go. I knew that's which one you wanted to watch.
I mean, kinda.
Yeah, dude. Y'all watched fucking Bomb City for me,
five.
man. Let's watch Exhuma for you.
Okay.
Yeah, man.
Nice.
Cool.
I appreciate you guys not ripping it a new asshole, even if you actually didn't like it for some reason, or you know what I'm saying. Like, you know, I know the ending was pretty.
It was a good movie, man. I think it's just a tough watch.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, I had just a long week, and I was just like,
"Oh yeah,
this is."
Dude, no, that's a good point. My knees and my back haven't hurt this bad in a long time, and I just got when I went, oh holy shit, a minute ago, I got an alert. And I looked down, it was my schedule, and I was just listening to y'all. So I was like, oh, I wonder what days they didn't give me, and I was like, oh geez, they gave me all of them. Okay, well, all right. So I work Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, all 9 hours in a row. Yeah, yay, money. All right, fellas, I'm out of here, man. I'll talk to y'all soon.
Sounds good.
All right, later, guys.
Next week. Later.
All right, bro. See ya, bro.